Welcome to part 3 of my Dangerous Creatures presentation. Today we begin with elephant, which lives in Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. Threatened elephants spread out their ears shortly before they charge. That's your signal to back off. When they're really serious, they fold back their ears and run straight for you. That's your signal to run. Actually, I would suggest that you retreat if an elephant is even looking intently at you. The oldest female leads her group of females and babies. The males usually drift from family to family.
It's very handy to have a hose for a nose. Elephants use their trunks to drink, to shower, to touch each other, and to signal when it's time to move on. A charging elephant spreads its ears to make itself seem even larger and fiercer than it is. Most charges are bluffs, but unless you're another elephant, it's best not to wait around to find out.
Elephants sometimes make sounds so low-pitched that they're impossible for humans to hear. The variety of sounds that animals make is truly amazing. Try your hand at guessing which animals make which sounds. Animal audio. The premise of this activity is very simple. Just click any animal to hear the sound it makes. If you do a lot of hiking in North America, an important sound to recognize is the buzzing of a rattlesnake. Rattlesnake, which lives in North, Central, and South America. When a rattlesnake rattles, that means you're too close, back off. Heed the snake's warning and you'll part company without getting bitten. Personally, I wish all snakes were as thoughtful as rattlers. Ever find a whole snake's skin? A snake grows out of its skin and leaves it behind. A lizard leaves behind pieces.
Rattlesnakes save their venom for their prey. When two of these snakes decide to fight, they don't bite, they wrestle. The rattlesnake that forces its opponent's head to the ground is the winner.
A rattlesnake is only one of many venomous snakes. But what about venomous lizards? There are only two. The beaded lizard and the Gila Monster. Gila Monster, which lives in southwest USA and northern Mexico. Most Gila Monster bites have occurred when the Gila Monster was being abused. These lizards are not known for their sense of humor, so don't tease a Gila. The colors yellow and black often signal that an animal carries venom.
Gila monsters are not exactly quick, so they don't attack fast-moving prey. An egg moves at about the right speed for this lizard.
A Gila Monster is a fairly big lizard, but it's tiny in comparison to the giant Komodo Dragon. Komodo Dragon, which lives only in Indonesia. This is another sound effect I had to find online. The program just gives you a different section of the same stock lizard sound from before. If you're bitten or even just scratched by a Komodo dragon, go to a doctor immediately. The bacteria that live in this giant lizard's mouth could kill an elephant. Komodo dragons are meat eaters. They also prey on each other, so at meal times the small ones are very polite.
Millions of years ago, the most powerful animals on Earth were not mammals, but giant meat-eating reptiles. Komodo dragons are the largest lizards on Earth today, and are living reminders of this ancient past.
No wonder they call it a dragon. The Komodo dragon, or ora, is the largest lizard on Earth today. Lizards. Sometimes it's the smallest ones you have to watch out for. One day, a little gecko jumped up and bit my nose for no apparent reason. But nevertheless, I still like lizards. I guana, you guana, they guana. An iguana for every taste.
Wherever there's a warm climate, there are lizards. They come in all sizes and colours and in amazing shapes. There's even one that swims in the sea, a marine iguana.
Do you know the difference between a lizard and a fire salamander? Fire salamander, which lives in Europe, Northwest Africa, and Southeast Asia. Don't squeeze a salamander, or it may squirt venom at you. Actually, don't squeeze any animal. You wouldn't let them squeeze you, would you? Of course you wouldn't. Do you see those lumps behind this salamander's eyes? They ooze venom.
In a salamander beauty contest, it would be difficult to choose a winner. Just imagine if people came in such bright colours and interesting patterns.
A fire salamander can afford to be colourful because it uses venom to defend itself. Within certain groups of animals, bright colours often signal venom. War paint. We humans wear whatever colours please us, except in times of war, when armies choose coloured uniforms so that everyone will know who's on which side, or they wear camouflage to hide out. But every day is a battle in the animal world, so colours often have special meanings there. If you drove a car through a red light, you'd probably expect to be in trouble. Colour signals are important in the animal world too.
In the world of amphibians and reptiles, bright colours usually signal poison. So, if you spot a beautifully coloured animal, just look, don't touch.
This mandrill is a colourful cousin of the baboon. Baboon, which lives only in Africa. If a baboon grins at you, it's not amused, it's angry. Back away slowly. If you turn your back on one, you may get a nasty bite in the backside. They also throw stones and other things. Grooming is a sociable activity between baboons, and it keeps their fur clean.
You might not expect to see these faces on the African savanna, but unlike other monkeys, baboons live on the ground.
A baboon has to be constantly on the lookout. This monkey is the favourite food of many leopards. Leopard, which lives in Africa and Asia. Leopards are mostly active at night, so unless you're out in the bush after dark, you're not likely to meet one. You might hear one, though, without even realizing it. Their calls sound like someone sawing wood. And that's why, as you may have noticed, I haven't played its sound yet. See for yourself, does it sound like sawing wood to you? The black panther is really a leopard, and if you look closely, you can still see its spots.
Unlike us humans, a leopard's food is not so easy to come by. If they're hungry for a nice juicy antelope, they've got to go out, catch one, and then drag it up a tree so it won't get stolen.
Leopards are very adaptable creatures and can live in many different habitats. Test your knowledge at matching animals to their habitats. Who lives where? In this game, you have to guess which animal lives in each habitat. When all the animals are matched up, your reward is the following video. To understand animals, you also need to know about their habitats. Both plants and animals are part of the web of life. The web of life. Some animals seem to exist only to be eaten. Well, when you think about it, that is a very important job. I don't think I'll apply for the position, though. Not all creatures that help out our planet are pleasant to think about, but they all do their part.
The male with the biggest set of horns or antlers is usually the strongest. To prove it, he has to bash heads or wrestle with rival males.
The lives of wild animals are interconnected with the plants and animals around them. If we want to protect animals, we need to know how they live and what they eat. Who eats whom? In this game, you have to guess which animal on the right would be the predator's natural prey. When all the animals are matched up, your reward is the following video. Some predators will eat a wide variety of prey. The platypus eats not only many different types of food, but also consumes large quantities of it every day. Platypus, which lives in eastern Australia and Tasmania. Don't pet a platypus, unless you know it's a female. The males have sharp, venomous spikes on their back legs. Actually, the females probably wouldn't appreciate being handled either. A platypus has only one other relative that also lays eggs, the echidna.
A platypus may look cuddly, but don't try to make one into a pet. Like all wild animals, it's happiest and healthiest in its own environment. An Australian pond or stream.
The platypus is a monotreme, an egg-laying mammal. It's just one of the many oddities of Australian wildlife. Australian oddities. There are some very peculiar creatures in Australia, and a few odd people as well. How would you like to get a free ride from your mum for a few months?
A teddy bear? No, a koala. Not a bear at all. From koalas to wombats to flying sugar gliders, Australia is filled with the most unusual wild animals.
There are a lot of odd animals on the land in Australia, and there are also many dangerous creatures off its coastline, such as the Australian Sea Wasp. Australian Sea Wasp, which lives in North Australian waters. In Australia, some lifeguards wear pantyhose to protect themselves against jellyfish stings. It's better to look silly than to have to call an ambulance. But the safest practice is, when sea wasps come floating in, swimmers come running out. If you're diving in Australian waters, watch out. The sea wasp has hard-to-see tentacles and deadly venom.
How can something so delicate be alive? You can see right through many jellyfish. To us land dwellers, the oceans are alien worlds, full of beautiful and mysterious creatures.
A sea wasp looks delicate, but it's an extremely dangerous jellyfish. Another beautiful but venomous marine animal is the sea snake. Sea snake, which lives in tropical seas worldwide, except Atlantic Ocean. If you see anything that looks like a snake underwater, swim in the opposite direction. If you're bitten by a sea snake, you may not be able to get to a hospital in time to save your life. This is a deadly snake. Sea snakes often hide in holes. Keep that in mind if you're out diving around coral reefs.
Although they've adapted to life at sea, these serpents are real snakes, and deadly ones too. Like most wild animals, they're not friendly. They prefer to swim alone.
With a sea snake, it's the venomous fangs you need to watch out for. With a stingray, the front end is safe. It's the tail that can cause you pain. Stingray, which lives in temperate and tropical seas worldwide and the Amazon River basin. Do not walk on the floor of the ocean where you can't see it. Stingrays like to bury themselves in the sand. And don't touch a stingray washed up on the beach. It may still be alive and dangerous. Only a third of all rays, the stingrays, are a threat, and then only if they're grabbed or stepped on.
Often compared to birds or ballet dancers, rays are among the most graceful creatures in the sea. The barbed tail of a stingray is a painful shock to anyone who surprises this animal on the ocean floor.
Be careful when you're wading in the ocean. You could get stung by a stingray or grabbed by a crab. Crab. Please excuse the map for this one. You see, this is what the crab's fact screen in the program looks like. The animal picture overlaps the map on many of the other animals' fact screens, but none to this extent. All the others could be easily edited out, but not this one. Crabs are mostly scavengers, so while you're on the beach, keep moving. If you lie still for too long, a crab may think you're dead and come up to take a bite. A male fiddler crab uses his big fiddling claw to protect his territory on the beach.
Crabs. What are these strange-looking creatures up to? They're climbing trees, making weird arm signals on the beach, and dancing with each other in the sand.
This huge crab looks like a gigantic spider. What are the differences between crabs and spiders? Spiders. Imagine being able to coordinate 8 legs and several sets of eyes. Some days I can barely walk in a straight line and focus on what's ahead. Do you live near the Amazon River rainforest? Well, if you do, watch out for the venomous Brazilian wandering spider.
Spiders are tricky creatures. Some spiders spin intricate webs to trap their prey. Others, like the trapdoor spider, rely on the element of surprise.
Do spiders give you the creeps? What about cockroaches? Cockroach, which lives almost everywhere. Trying to get rid of cockroaches? Store all your food in sealed containers, or do what I do. Keep a big lizard around the house to eat the little pests. Cockroaches can be helpful too. They eat garbage.
Cockroaches have been waste disposal experts for millions of years. They'll eat anything that doesn't crawl away, from garbage to their neighbour's offspring.
Many cockroaches will eat just about anything. The same can be said of some types of shark. Sharks. Some people have nightmares about sharks. Well, it's good to be cautious, but let's be realistic. There are millions more people eating sharks than sharks eating people. Now here's an idea, a flexible backbone. No wonder these animals are such great swimmers.
Sharks live in a watery foreign world. They're graceful, powerful, and swift. Humans usually find these marine predators to be both fascinating and frightening.
The angel shark uses its great tail to lift its bulk up off the ocean floor. Tales of tails. When climbing trees, I've often wished for a tail. It would have saved me from a few quick trips to the ground, I can tell you. Some animals have very peculiar and effective weapons.
If you're a runner, you can use a long tail to help keep your balance when you change direction. If you're a tree dweller, you can use your tail as a safety belt to hang onto a branch while your paws are busy.
I think you'll know what's coming next. Some sharks have unusual tails, but there's also one that has a very strange head. Hammerhead Shark, which lives in tropical and temperate seas worldwide. There is no proven rule for judging when a hammerhead might attack. Until we know more about these strange-looking creatures, don't go swimming with them. If you think a hammerhead looks strange, take a look at the headgear on the cat shark, the paddlefish, and the sawfish.
Hammerheads wave their oddly shaped heads from side to side as they swim. Perhaps the motion helps them zero in on the scent or vibrations of nearby fish and rays.
With its eyes spread apart like that, how do you suppose the world appears to a hammerhead shark? Different animals have different types of vision. I see you. This activity tells you all about how 7 different animals see, as well as providing images for each one's field of vision and blind spots. Now you know all about how predators and prey animals see. Take a look at some close-ups of animal eyes. Animal eyes. In this game, you have to guess which animal on the right the eye belongs to. When all the animals are matched up, your reward is the following video. And that's the end of this chain. Animal Eyes leads right back to spiders, so you could just keep going through those 7 screens over and over again in an endless loop. In part 4, we start a new chain with the hyena.